What's up, podcast listeners? Welcome back. It's Andy and Drew here with another exciting episode. Andy, I believe it's episode number 45 of the What's Up, Casselberry podcast.
Number 45, and they said it wouldn't last. Here we are, almost a full year in and walking into our first holiday season together. How exciting!
Yeah, that's right. We went through Thanksgiving, and it's good to be back with you. Had a nice time away, and yeah, very much looking forward to Christmas and this holiday season. It is interesting, as you said, we are almost a full year into this podcast endeavor. Could we have started at a more awkward year than 2020? But here we are.
Well, this is the time when people need podcasts more than ever. I think we said that once, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really true, but it makes us feel good about what we're doing.
It's true. We might be ahead of the curve. When we're all quarantined again, we were the ones that thought about getting the news out there from the comfort and safety of our own homes.
I remember seeing a meme during lockdown, and it said, whatever you do during this time, don't start a podcast. And I'm like, oh, well, too late. We're ahead of the curve. We're early adopters.
We are in it. That's right. That's right. Well, when we do get out and about a little bit, Andy, I know one of the things that we enjoy is walking or running, mostly walking, at least in my case, maybe a slow jog. But we have the privilege of living in a neighborhood that is I would describe it as very festive. We are in the throes of December and looking around. Many streets, including our own home, have some Christmas lights kind of celebrating the season. What are your general thoughts? I think that people want to hear, what are your thoughts on appropriate timing for Christmas lights? Are you an inflatables guy, a non-inflatables guy? What? Give us your thoughts on Christmas lighting and Christmas decor.
In terms of timing, I'm a post-Thanksgiving guy. That's where I land on that, partly because I don't want to skip over the importance of saying thank you and gratitude. I'm a big traditional guy, so I really want to lean into the Advent side of Christmas and fully walk slowly and intentionally through that season of preparation. When it comes to decorations, I want to be classy rather than chaotic. You know, my kids keep pushing us to do different things, but classy is kind of where we land. So all our lights are the same color, and we've got enough to accentuate things, but not enough that it feels kind of tacky. I am not a fan of inflatables. A couple of reasons for that. My daughter, I forget her exact phrase, but she talks about what deflated inflatables look like in the morning. And she talks about it looking like someone's come in and massacred all the inflatables. So you just have these dead inflatables on your lawn whenever it's light outside. So that's kind of put me off a little bit. Also, you know, Drew, we're both pastors. I think our guests know that. And therefore, the Christmas season is very important to us. And I remember a couple of years ago walking one morning by a deflated manger scene. Affected me quite deeply, really, because I believe the story of Christmas is not something that we should ever deflate, right? It's something that should be bold and strong and seen by all. So, yeah, when it comes to decorations, I want to be classy, not chaotic, and I like to choose ones that lean into the depth and the meaning of this season.
The phrase classy, of course, you know my love for The Office. It made me think of when Michael Scott, the boss, to impress this girl, dresses up and hires a bass player to just play all afternoon because who doesn't love classy, boring jazz music, as he says.
Déclassé.
So there you go. So yeah, that's good.
I'm a little bit like that, though. What I I talk about as classy probably isn't classy to rich and wealthy people who understand what classy is. This is the I don't know. The blue collar classy is probably where I am.
Casselberry class. I like it.
That's right.
Very good. Well, we are very proud to highlight the fact that one of our houses, kind of with in between your house and my house, recently won an award. And that's right, listeners. There is a committee that from the city that drives around and looks at houses, and they at one point do like a judge contest of who in the city has the most festive lights, the most thematic lights, maybe even the classiest lights. I don't know all the awards, but one of our neighbors won that award, and based on as of the other day, they're well on their way to repeating. Perhaps
they have raised their game, and now when we drive by that street, I got to put my sunglasses on so I don't hit something. It's it's a bright light on a dark night.
Andy, you beautifully said it. Christmas, listeners, we hope that we'll have more to talk about on this Christmas season as we get through the month here on our weekly podcast. But we are very thankful and expectant for what Christmas means in regards to our faith, recognizing Jesus's birth, and just being with family and celebrating these significant, important traditions that are made up and celebrated during this time of year. Well, one tradition that's relatively new to our community, but is no doubt going to be a hit. There's a 5K called the Reindeer Run, and it's named after local WFTV Channel 9 news reporter Greg Warmoth. The Greg Warmoth Reindeer Run presented by Advent Health for Children. So I assume some of the monies from this run are going back to Advent Health and caring for those in need. That run, Andy, you shared with us, is actually being moved right in our backyard, right to Casselberry at Lake Concord Park, December 12th. That's a Saturday.
First time it's been in Casselberry, and traditionally, Track Shack, who hosts it, have held it at SeaWorld. Big fan of the SeaWorld park, and just inspired me as a fun place to run through a few years ago. And so Tracy and I did the Reindeer Run, and we both kind of resolved together, I remember, that we'd just walk through it so we could enjoy the SeaWorld Christmas decorations. But then my competitive spirit came out, and I decided to tear off and leave her to enjoy them on her own. But yeah, it was great fun doing that at SeaWorld. My time, as I remember, wasn't great. I mean, it's called the Reindeer Run, but I was certainly no dasher.
There it is.
There it is. I've been working on that for a while.
So you're telling me then that if it got moved from SeaWorld, one of the most elaborate, big-time, nationally known parks that brings lots of people, and it got moved to Casselberry, we're moving up in the world, clearly.
Well, I think so. I mean, I think it's nice to think that way. I think it's probably COVID related that they needed somewhere else to come, and they chose Casselberry because we have hosted races before, and it's a great community really to do these kind of things because our streets are pretty quiet, shadowed and surrounded by beautiful trees, and we've got some lovely homes that are well decorated. So I think it's quite an honor for the city to be able to host that. We were talking with Lynn, who is our guest today, and he's coordinating that, and he's ran the route himself just to make sure it is 3.1 miles. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great event, and it's always exciting when we can showcase our city.
Well, any runners, walkers out there in our community and listening to the podcast, it's the Greg Warmoth Reindeer Run held at Lake Concord Park. You can go to trackshack.com. The event is going to be held Saturday, December 12th. It looks like it's a 7:30 start time.
I really think they should brand themselves by saying something like, you don't have to be Dasher to run this reindeer race. I just think, I think they're missing an opportunity there, Drew.
Okay. Well, I've seen you out and about, Andy. I'd maybe describe you, if we're going to do that theme, maybe more of a prancer.
You've seen me run.
Well, folks, we want to highlight our great things going on in the community, like the reindeer run, but also on an individual level. We love to recognize on this podcast and those who are leading, inspiring, serving in our community. We've been highlighting the Community Member of the Month, that award specially trademarked by the WUC podcast. And we have our December Community Member of the Month ready to be announced. Andy, do you want to give a drum roll, please?
I will be the drum roll guy.
All right. Well, folks, many of you know her. She has been serving, leading, inspiring our community. Her name, now formerly the mayor of Casselberry. We want to recognize and shout out a very special woman in our city, Charlene Glancy. Congratulations. Woo-hoo! Tell us about Charlene. We had her on episode 9 and 10 of this podcast, for those who want to hear from Charlene. But tell us a little bit about her and why she's such a worthy candidate for this award.
Charlene has been our mayor for 12 years, which is 3 terms, and it's written in our city constitution that you can't serve more than 3 terms. And during that time, she has served well, she has led well, and she has represented our city incredibly well. In many ways, she's embodied much of the identity that our city has taken on: engaged, willing to do what's necessary, visionary, kind, compassionate, thoughtful. And as she ends her tenure as our mayor, and as we welcome Dave Henson as our new mayor, we just wanted to take a moment and say that we as a podcast and as a group and as residents are so grateful for all that she's done. I know that during this time she has received many accolades, but perhaps not one like ours. So Charlene, congratulations. We appreciate all that you've done for our city, all that you do for our city, and how your legacy will continue to develop even without you in this elected seat. So I realize that this isn't the biggest honor in terms of all that you've received, but we just wanted to add our thanks to the long list of people who are grateful for you.
Absolutely, Andy. And we will get Charlene her award from the What's Up Casselberry podcast. You'll see pictures, and you can reach out to us about the next month's Community Member of the Month through our Facebook page, our Instagram feed, our podcast feed, or our website. Just search What's Up Casselberry. Today's sponsor for the What's Up Casselberry podcast is Deborah Morris Home Team Keller Williams Advantage Realty. They help sellers and buyers by making their housing dreams a reality. You can check out Deborah Morris by her website. Please make a point to check her out if you're looking to buy or sell your home. The website is www.deborah, DEBORAH, morrishometeam.kw.com.
And as we move, Drew, to a new year, we will be looking for a new sponsor as well. So maybe you or your business or your family or your company would be looking to make an impact in our city. We would encourage you to reach out and put it into your budget. We don't charge much at all, but we would love for some new sponsors as we begin a new year. All right. Welcome back, listeners. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we enter my favorite part of the show, where we have a very special guest. Today's guest is one that we have waited patiently for. In fact, a little secret on our very first episode, we wanted this man. We wanted his wisdom, his insight, because what he doesn't know about our city isn't worth knowing. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in welcoming Mr. Lynn Hopez?
Hey guys, how are you? Thank you. Yeah, I really didn't have anything to do today, so I decided to take your call. So I appreciate that. So my product placement is on McDonald's, unsweet tea, and I have some cookies and cream Pop-Tarts. So both companies can actually send me sponsorship deals, and I'll take care of those.
Yeah, here's the deal with a podcast, Lynn. It's voice only. So you holding your cup in the screen does not get you anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The good news is you are rewarded with our gratitude. And I know that is.
I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be a guest on your show.
All right, Lynn, we can tell you're very nervous. And what we do to help our guests feel at ease is we ask them some icebreaker questions. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just kidding about the nervousness. I don't know if you've ever been nervous. First question for fun. You are a man of many costumes. What is the craziest costume that you have ever worn?
Well, the funny thing is during the holidays, I like to dress up as elves. And I am an eccentric dresser anyway. And so I wear a lot of weird clothes on a daily basis. So the problem is that I have to up the game every time I have an event or every time I do something. So that's the real issue of it. So a couple of days ago, I was wearing, they're really not unusual, leggings. And I had a coworker ask me, he goes, do those pantyhose go all the way up to your waist? And I'm like, no, they're not pantyhose, they're leggings. So I'm used to having people make fun of me all the time, including you guys. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me. I think in my sort of DNA, it's being out there and eccentric. So the craziest costumes that I have, I'm going to wear it this fall. This winter is a massive ramen noodles hoodie. Literally looks like a ramen noodles container. I have that. And then I have a bunch of cat videos and cat things that are, I don't even have a cat, and I have all this cat clothes and I have these dog clothes. And I don't even have a dog. So for me, it's just one of those things that, life, you're supposed to enjoy every minute of it. And I try to, bring happiness to myself and also bring levity to others.
Well, you do that very well. I would rather have a cat sweater than a cat, I think. Lynn, in one of your previous lives, you interviewed many people. Who is the most famous person that you have ever interviewed?
I have an ADD career. So I've literally bounced around from teaching at UCF to working in the newspapers, working for television, and working for radio, to working for major companies like Disney and ESPN and Nickelodeon. And I've come across pretty much a lot of celebrities in my life, hanging out with the Justin Biebers and the Kim Kardashians and the Hugh Jackmans and stuff. But all of them are kind of cool in their own way. And I think the thing is that I think it resonates with people to realize that everybody's just people. Mm-hmm. You don't put them on pedestals. You deal with athletes all the time. And, and you've dealt with some of the athletes who are world famous. A soccer reference to you. One time in my office, me and famous soccer named Pele were sitting there. And we're just and then, his real name's Edison. And I didn't know how he got his name. And he told me that when he was born and everything like that, the light in the room that he was born literally popped on. And they called him Edison based on that. And so I'm listening to these stories and he's talking to me just like we're friends sitting there. And I think that that's how I try to live my life is everybody's automatically a friend first. And then at that point, we figure out we can work together and work on projects.
Well, I have to confess, I put you on a pedestal. So,
well, that's because I'm so short.
As you know, it's a big time of year. It's really holly jolly time of year. So I'm going to ask a hard-hitting question. Lynn, are you on the naughty or the nice list?
Well, okay, so this is more serious, actually, but I would think for the years I was naughty for a long time. And I don't mean as in trying to be, but I think the thing is that I viewed things differently until probably about 10, 15 years ago. And then I decided to be nice. And I don't think I was naughty as in a bad person. It's just that I was very selfish. And over the last 10 or 15 years, I've devoted my life and attention to trying to make things better for other people. So for me, I believe that I'm now on the nice list and I'm making up for all the things that I've done previously that may not have been so nice. So that's where I would say I'm at right now.
So, Lynn, you've had an impressive and a very varied career. How did you end up at Casselberry, and what is it that keeps you here?
I was a senior director of entertainment for Disney. That meant I dealt with a lot of celebrities on their movie releases, on their record releases, on TV appearances. I've done that for 5 years. And I'd worked with a lot of pretty much anybody you can name I've worked with. A lot of major companies have layoffs. So my team was quite large, and everybody on my team was being let go, except for a few lower salaried people. And so I was let go also. And then I had to decide whether I wanted to reinvent myself or continue going down the same path. I was offered a job at TMZ. I was offered a job to go to Big Machine in Nashville. So there were opportunities that I had, but I wanted to stay in Orlando because I thought at the time that I really needed to focus in on work-life balance. So I happened to be in an event walking around one time, and someone had mentioned there's an opening. And when I said, I may have an interest in that job, the person who stood there actually stopped in their tracks. And they said, you would want to work in this job here? And I go, yeah. So I arrived here in 2014, and I didn't know much about Casselberry, and I saw that the potential of a community like this is tremendous. And I mentally erased the lines of what Casselberry I thought could be. So I did not think Casselberry needs to compare themselves against Winter Springs or Oviedo. I said Casselberry should compare themselves against Fresno, against Austin, against Charlotte, things like that. For me, it was one of those things of changing mindsets. There were a lot of people who were forward thinkers that were already here. And so when I arrived, I was literally a person that was trying to, the little engine that could, taking this little train up this path. And there were a lot of people that were on board, and a lot of people were leading the way. And I just happened to sit there and offer my 2 cents and just tweak a little bit here and there and fine tune some things they were doing. And for me, it's been an amazing ride. And you're asking me what keeps me here. What keeps me here is the people actually like me. As I said, when you have a career path where you're on movie sets or you're doing videos or you're doing a whole bunch of things that you don't realize. I used to travel across country from New York to LA, flying every few weeks. I'd be in a city just waiting, just dealing phone calls in the morning and dealing with things at night. And coming to Casselberry, these people here are actually really, really good people. And as we all said, when it gets in the business world, it really matters who your bosses are, not what you do, because the bosses are the ones going to keep you there. And so I have really great bosses here who allow me to be me, allow me to dress the way I dress, look the way I look, and accomplish what I can accomplish. And so I don't think, we joke about how it was going to be your first guest. I'm really not that major of a player in town. I think the thing is there's a lot of ways that this community has been lifted up, and everybody's worked together on that. And so I think that's what's more important than anything else is I'm just a small cog. I may have certain resources, I may have certain ideas, but it can't be accomplished unless everybody is on board.
Within Casselberry, we're so happy that you're here and you chose to be here. But what exactly do you do?
So I'm the Recreation and Programs and Events Supervisor. My emphasis is mostly events. That may come from being a concert to a golf tournament to, even an art show to a road race to the swimming pools to the pavilion rentals. So my job more than anything else is to do 2 things. Try to bring in new events to the community and make them great, and also to improve the events that we already have. The dynamics and the population of Casselberry has changed so much over the years that I think that they have different wants and different needs. So someone like yourself or myself, a great example, I was joking about McDonald's, but this year I purposely decided to go from sweet tea to unsweet tea. And then, of course, I balanced it out by having Pop-Tarts. But anyway, that's an aside. Yeah. But the idea of it is that my taste changed. So as tastes change for what we need in a community, depending on who lives in that community, the blueprint of the community. So I believe that my role will continually to change. Maybe years ago, it could have been one subject area we focused in on. Now we're doing another. We started making pickleball courts, or we start doing more soccer fields, or we start doing more beer events that are on the properties. Those things are changed based on the taste and the needs of the customers, and including the consumers who live here. Casselberry has a situation where we have a lot of people that live and walk to the events. And our goal is to not only please those people, is to also get the ones who live in Sanford, live in Longwood, live in Lake Mary to drive to our events. So it's trying to make sure we continue to keep what we have while improving and adding things that are on the outside.
It's amazing to me, Lynn, as I move around the community, how when I mention that I'm from Casselberry, they will say, "Oh, I went to this event," or "I went to that event." And these events that you lead have really put us on the map. Of course, 2020 has been a tough year for events, with COVID closing many of them. But I was really excited to hear the other day in this holiday season that one of the events that is still happening is the Santa Run. And over the years, I have taken my kids and we've joined thousands of others and waved at Santa and his police and fire escort as he and you have thrown out the candy. But tell us about that event. How long has it been going on? Why is it important to do?
Okay, Santa Run has been around in the city of Casselberry for 20 years. And the great thing about that event is it's an opportunity, and I think it's one of the most important events we do as a city because we actually go out in the community. The community doesn't come to us. And to me, that's important because people who have kids or people who can't leave their house, whatever reason, we go down the streets in, the fire engines or in, the trailers with the elves and Santa and Mrs. Claus with Christmas music playing, with the police officers. As you mentioned COVID, when we had discussions a couple of months ago, there is a compound where a lot of public works people are positioned. There's a sign in there that has my name on it, and it said they had the date and the time that I walked over there and said, we're doing the Santa Run, and they literally had marked it down as a special day. Two things. One is, I guess we're gonna have to do it. And two is, okay, I guess we're getting ready to do it. So it was one of those things that to me, I thought out of all the things that we can try to do for the community, it's something that we can do. And I purposely really pushing hard because of social distancing. It seems like a perfect event for that because all you're doing is literally you and your family are going to be in your house, hearing the sirens going by, walking out your front door, waving. And to me, I've done this the last handful. I've been here 5 or 6 years. I've been McGruff the dog. I've been an elf before. I've done a lot of different things on it. I think it's one of the most important events, and it's more important event this year, especially is when I talked with the police, and the police are usually escorting us throughout the community. I think it's important for them also to show that we're a unit, that the government, public works, the police department, fire department, we're all in the public safety aspect of it, trying to sit there and to show that we're all one. And I think that's why this year is more important than ever that we do that. So the Santa Run is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, December 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Whenever you listen to this podcast, just know that it's one of those things that you're going to be able to see it all throughout social media. You'll be able to go to our Casselberry.org website to see the routes, Facebook through the Casselberry pages and see the routes. I think this is a very, very important event. And for me, it resonates the most famous celebrity and to a person who works at whatever particular job walking out their trailer. They're the same. So when I drive by or I see them and they're literally walking out their front door and saying thank you, and waving at us and taking pictures of Santa, that is something that you actually, cannot buy. I mean, people love this Instagram life. I mean, I sat next to Kim Kardashian for 4 hours at an event one time, and the conversation probably was one of the worst, boring conversations I've ever had in my life. But if you tell somebody today, oh my God, I sat next to Kim Kardashian, as you said one of your earlier questions to me, oh my God, you talked to all these people. Mm-hmm. I'd rather talk to somebody who lives in Casselberry, who I see there, who has a small trailer, who literally will go out there, sweep the front of their driveway, their porch. He will take care enough to put flowers in front of them. That's the kind of person you want to know. And that's the kind of person who I think that a community will actually lift the community more. And I know that people love the idea of this a celebrity world and everything like that, reality life. But I've lived both those lives. And I would tell you this, at the end of the day, the people that matter to me are the ones that I can count on. And those are actually your neighbors here more than anything else. And to me, I mean, I'm going on the soapbox aspect of it a little bit, but that's why I think this event is more important than almost anything we do, because we're not going out we're going out of our way to go to them. We've seen people look out their windows and just wave. We stop by the Alzheimer's dementia buildings and they have people sitting out front. We see people, neighbors who probably don't hang out except maybe 1 or 2 times a year, sitting next to each other, noticing and waving and having their kids hang out while we drive by. All those things cannot be replaced. That's why I think this event is that important.
More important than a Kardashian, what's it like riding with Santa Claus for you?
Most Santas that we have are all jolly anyway. Now, my biggest issue is I'm the funniest person usually in the room. But I had to sit there and curtail myself next to Santa. Because of that, I'm literally realizing I'm nobody. So I sat next to Santa last year on the trail, and everybody's is wanting to take pictures with Santa. Nobody wanted to take pictures with me. That was very, very difficult on the ego. But it was okay because I was underneath a dog head. Being underneath the dog head is okay because no one could see my tears.
Yeah, I mean, don't mess with Santa at Christmas, right? That is a
exactly
thing. Don't mess with Santa. So as you said, folks can go to the city's Facebook page or website to find out where the Santa Run is going to be. We have timed this episode so that it is going to drop the very week that you are doing it. So listeners, tonight, go out and wave at Santa and say hi to Lynn too. Don't ignore him like everyone else. Let him have a little bit of the Christmas spirit. Lynn, looking forward to 2021. Obviously, lots of uncertainty still, but what are some of the things that you're excited for in 21 with the city?
The great thing is normally we have about 4 or 5, we call them tentpole events: spring jazz, Mardi Gras, hot rods car event, Latin jazz, craft beers and blues, country jam. So what we pretty much have done is the entertainers who were scheduled to perform in 2020, we've already locked in for 2021 because a lot of those entertainers were not traveling anyway. So in our case, is we're going to announce in the next few weeks the lineup for 2021 of all the different entertainers. But our hopes and goals are that we can continue to have some of these big events. But I think what we do as a city isn't just the big events, it's the small pop-up events, the little things that we do that are important for a lot of communities that we can provide you, including something as simple. We've started opening up pavilions for rentals. You know, I drove by one day a couple weeks ago, and both pavilions at Secret Lake Park had baby reveal events at them. Both of them did. I drove by and there was like boy, girl, and I was like, oh, this is really kind of cool. And to me, those are just as important for somebody to have in 2021 is where you can get some normalcy back and even in their lives. You know, I mean, we can talk about the big events that we're going to be doing, and, you know, all the different things, but when it comes to people, I think they need to get back to their normalcy of not just going to work, coming home, spending time with their family. It's just understanding what they're going to do on the weekends and at night. Mm-hmm. Our hope as a city is we can provide some of that release for them, either from some of our sports fields or some of our parks that you can literally walk or bike around. And the events that we do, you know, it's funny, even though I'm the event supervisor, I believe that you need a combination of all those things. You can't really just only focus in on, hey, you know, the big tentpole things, because there's so much that you need to get out you know, and get used and seeing. I mean, Secret Lake Park, Lake Concord right now is decorated a lot for the holidays. We've had a lot of people stop by that park to get pictures taken around the trees, around, you know, obviously the different sort of design work that's done there. And the team in the recreation department, Rob Bickerstaff and AJ Monet and Barbara Davis, and, you know, they have done an amazing job of making that park look, it just is breathtaking. And to me, that is where I see the baby steps before you worry about the big events, is you be able to, one, step outside your door, then step on down the street, and then get outside and do some things, socially distancing and obviously wearing masks that you need to, until we figure out what's going on with the virus. And then you start venturing out and trying some things. But we're as a city are not, you know, pushing the pedal to the metal to get everyone out there to say, hey, we're just going to turn the switch on in January. That's just not where we are, because we need to think what's most safe for the general population. We don't want a super spreader thing to happen. We don't want, you know, people to sit there and say, hey, Cass was irresponsible. So we're going to take things as slowly as we can, because from our perspective is we want to make sure that everyone has not just a fun time, but a safe time.
I love that. I love that you are putting the residents and citizens' safety first. That's not surprising, but it's good to hear as well. And I think as you were talking, really the strength of a community is not in the size of the events, but it's in the connectedness of the relationships as well. So I really appreciate that you're almost strategically saying, let's do some smaller events that foster those relationships and that kind of community. Lynn, time is working against us today, which is good because it means we'll have to have you back again to keep things going. But before we close, maybe a penultimate question. From your unique vantage point in our city, what do you consider some of the strengths of our broader community? Why would you recommend Casselberry to someone as a great place to work, live, and play?
Okay, I live in Casselberry, I work in Casselberry, and I play in Casselberry a lot. Here's the thing that I think over the last handful of years, even before I arrived, I think the difference in Casselberry is the first answer is yes. The first answer isn't no. The first answer is yes. Then they'll, you know what, I love the idea. Let's see if we can make it work. And then if it can't make it work, okay, well, I guess we couldn't make it work. I think there's a lot of communities, the first answer is always no. No, you know what? We've tried that before. We've done that. It's not going to work. And I think that's the difference in Casselberry now. And I think that's with the city leadership, from Randy Newland, the city manager, to the city clerk and Donna Gardner, to what you have is the commission and, and the people in the public works and in the water and everything. I think that's the difference. Larry Krantz is in the police. What you have is the possibilities are there. Yeah. And to me, it goes back to me saying where you erase the lines of what you think you can be. If we all just followed along and just did what, just the basics, it would be fine. Everything would be fine. Everything's nothing. But the idea of it is that this place is always going to think about enhancing and making things better. And that's where I think Casselberry does a very, very good job. Some of the constrictions that you have is based on the fact of, do you have a downtown corridor, like some cities have? Do you have major businesses like hospitals in your community, major corporations, major restaurants? And so what you have is you have the community asking and wanting certain things that are very legitimate questions. But the thing is, sometimes is I was telling somebody, it's the beginning. It just takes some knowledge whether you can make it happen. We're continuing to having to convince people that, hey, you know what? You should come consider Casselberry. We can do a lot more for you here. A great example is that Track Shack is doing a reindeer run, which is on December 12th here in Casselberry. That event was in Orlando. The last handful of years was at SeaWorld. Well, they needed a place, and they contacted me, and then I said yes. And then I'm like, maybe. Okay, and try to make it work. And then we made it work. And so they're coming here December 12th. I had a meeting with them yesterday, and I said, I want you to come back. The race hasn't even run yet. Now, I don't know how it's going to work out. Yeah. But I already want them to come back. And I think that's the thing that we have to try to do more. And that's where I think the thing in Casselberry is very different. And that's one reason why I've always been here. And someone's asking me, how long am I going to stay here? Well, like I said, I have an ADD career. So for me is I do things for a certain amount of time, and then I just literally walk away and do something else. But right now there's so many things that still need to be done here that for me is it's not even thinking about, where I am, but I'm always thinking about where I'm going. And where I'm going is there's still more things we can do in Casselberry.
I love that. You heard it here first, folks, that Casselberry is the new SeaWorld. So maybe soon, Lynn, will be getting whales and dolphins in Lake Concord and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? Lynn, I really appreciate what you said. As I talk to some long-term residents, they talk about the days when Casselberry was known as Hasselberry and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I haven't experienced that at all. And it feels like we're a new city now than we were back then. And I've often wondered, well, what was that change? What was that pivot? And it makes a lot of sense that change happened when we started saying yes first rather than no first. And I really appreciate you clarifying that and honestly living that for our community. Our community is a better place because of that yes attitude. Lynn, we do have to wrap up, but as we close, can you let folks know how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out about events, and how they can stay connected from your perspective?
Basically, it's really easy. My email address is pretty easy to figure. If anyone is supposed to send me notes, it's actually events@casselberry.org. It's not too complicated. Events@casselberry.org. But you need to go to the Casselberry website, casselberry.org. Go to the Casselberry Facebook page, and also go to the splinter groups. There's a lot of great groups in Casselberry that promote and talk about a lot of the events we do in the city. But the thing is to come to us first and ask us first to see about the details of that. You know, we love the fact that a lot of groups out there and a lot of people are promoting what we do. And, you know, I totally appreciate all that. But if you have a question, specific question, you can contact me at, 407-262-7700. But the easier way is at events@casselberry.org, and check out the website and check out our Facebook pages and our YouTube and stuff like that. And if you do see me walking around, I mean, I'm very readily available to talk. Joke about how it's taken a long time for me to go on this podcast. I'm readily accessible if you need me.
Well, Lynn, it has been worth the wait for us, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We won't wait another 45 episodes to do so. Lynn, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing your wisdom with us. It was worth waiting for, and we're glad that you are our guest, and we're grateful for all that you do in the city. It really is inspiring. As we prepare to close, Drew, would you share with us a little bit more inspiration as we go about our day?
Absolutely. Besides the guest, this is probably my favorite moment of the episode. The quote today is an ancient Indian proverb. Certain things catch your eye, but pursue only those that capture the heart. Certain things catch your eye, but pursue only those that capture the heart. I think that's some great wisdom there, that in our lives, there are circumstances, there are pursuits, whether it be professional, relational, other things that on the surface maybe look attractive, look like something that, oh, that's interesting, that's noteworthy. But at the end of the day, the real legacy of a person, the things that truly matter in an individual's life are those things made up from the heart that resonate deeper than just at the surface level. And so my encouragement, listener, our encouragement collectively is that you go about in the world, do the things that you were created to do. Live out the things that you were designed to live for. Pursue those heart things. Certain things will catch your eye, but pursue with wholehearted passion and affection only those that capture the heart.
That's a great word, Drew, especially as we are leaning into this holiday season, as we're maybe feeling a little sentimental, as we're spending time building traditions and making memories. Let's stay in touch with our heart. Thank you for that. Thank you, listener, for sticking with us throughout this episode. We hope that you have enjoyed episode 45 of the What's Up Casselberry podcast. You can find us on our website, social media, Instagram, Facebook, podcast host, all kinds of places, all with the name What's Up Casselberry. If you would like us and review us, that would help us climb those charts. But again, thank you so much for joining us today on What's Up Casselberry. Have a great week and enjoy this special time of year.